Hello everybody and big welcome to our top tip and tricks video. For anybody that's new joining us, we have hundreds of these videos all added to our YouTube channel. Just search Kay's Flower School. So what I advise you to do, again if you're new, why don't you put this video on pause and run off and get yourself a notebook and pen, because I definitely recommend writing down some top tips and tricks yourself about prolonging the life of the flowers. So the flowers that we're going to talk about today are Hellebores. So here they are. Aren't they just amazing? Now remember, these haven't been hydrated or conditioned yet. So this is exactly what they look like when you remove them from your delivery box direct from Holland, okay? So a few little notes to write down about them. I suppose maybe a common name for them would be the Christmas rose, okay? Even though Hellebores is the proper name, a lot of people would often call them the Christmas rose. And that's probably because they're available November to May. So it's kind of like a winter come spring type of flower. Now the variety of these are actually a double head. So sometimes when you go to buy them yourself, you may not get as many heads on them. So these are kind of a double head, and double white Ellen is the variety of them. I just thought they were amazing, and I have them brought in for a particular item, and I just think it's going to work for me. So what I'm planning to use them for is in a wedding bouquet. Now as I said, they haven't been hydrated yet. Well, you get a fabulous bounce, you see, out of them. So what would be on trend at the moment is what we often call or describe as the dancing bouquet, where your flowers are kind of like bouncing and they're at different lengths or different levels to other flowers. Maybe you have some roses kind of recessed down a little bit lower, and again allow your Hellebores to kind of like glide above them or dance above them. Now a few little notes to write down. They're not the longest lasting flower, and I suppose that's what the disappointing thing is. You really only get 5 to 7 days, so you need to write that down. They only come in short stems. That's the length. You might get another 10-15 centimetres, but that's the length of them. There's no such thing as big long Hellebores. So they're ideal for wedding bouquets or smaller bunches of flowers or smaller hand-tied bouquets, but like if you want this big presentation bouquet, they're not really suitable for it. They absolutely adore the cold, okay? So heat will set them off. So you're looking for kind of like room temperatures of 3 to 5 degrees Celsius approximately. I suppose the whites and the greens are the most popular shades, but just to be aware, you could also get amazing burgundy and kind of purpley mauve sort of shades as well. So especially if you're making them mixed kind of bold bunches with a pop of colour, you look for them other shades. So how will you treat them? So with all flowers, you'll remove your plastic. That allows your ethylene gas to escape. You cut about an inch off the end of the stem, and we always recommend cut on an angle. Do you know the way? 45-degree angle. When you cut on an angle, flowers can drink up the water faster up through the stem because you're obviously opening up a bigger hole. But this is a little tip for you, okay? The very first drink that you give them, I want you to place them into a deep vase. Now obviously the stems are quite short on them, so remove as much foliage as you can. And like place the water in your vase or your container up to approximately there. And listen to this, tepid water. So not ice cold water, tepid water. And leave them in the tepid water for 6 to 8 hours, okay? They drink lots and lots of water. They're a thirsty flower, and recut them every day. So every day, even if it's just to take a slivering off the end of them, a half a centimetre on that 45-degree angle, you'll find then that they'll drink more water. And after they've had the tepid water, like cold water is absolutely fine after that. Now in that time, you'll find if they're not getting the water up the stem, and normally that's a sign where you haven't been cutting them, okay? So if you haven't been cutting them, you might find that the heads start to look a little bit tired looking and a little bit dehydrated. These obviously haven't been hydrated yet, so that's why they are a little bit kind of like droopy at the moment. But what you can then do, and write this down in your notebook, is submerge the flower heads in water. 20 or 30 minutes is absolutely fine, so don't leave them indefinitely. 20 or 30 minutes, heads submerged under the water, and that will hydrate the heads and revive the flowers. Like, it's a great trick. It also works for hydrangeas and peonies, and there's lots of other flowers, Singapore orchids as well. Now one thing to be aware of, okay, is the stems on the Hellebores is poisonous. Now I must have the toughest hands going because there's very little affects me, and I never am affected by them. But some of you watching, you may have kind of maybe a little bit more sensitive skin to me, or maybe you're prone to allergies, so be aware of this, okay? After handling your Hellebores, go off and wash your hands thoroughly, okay? Just to make sure. Another little tip for you, if you're making hand-tied bouquets with them, you know what I mean, especially maybe for wedding work, I would always make sure the parts that the bride is going to carry or hold, you know, that way, is to make sure that you cover that securely, you know, that way, and a lot of it like with ribbon. So it's actually the ribbon that she's holding, and she's not actually holding the stems. Another little tip is they are a soft stem, you know, the way they're hollow on the inside as well. So what I find is that when you're pulling the hand-tied string, don't pull it too hard, because sometimes when you pull it just that little bit hard, it can crack the stem, a little bit of seepage comes out, and again it can affect your hands. But as I said, wash your hands thoroughly after handling them and you'll be absolutely fine. They probably are more of a winter spring flower, and they're definitely suitable for winter weddings or spring wedding bouquets. Hopefully I've answered most of your questions. Obviously, if you think of anything else that you're kind of a little bit unsure about, place all your questions in the comments below. I will respond back to every question that's posted. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you got a couple of little notes wrote down. I would really appreciate if you shared our videos, especially if you're a member of maybe a flower club or a floral society. We'd love to kind of get the word out, telling people how to treat and condition their Hellebores. Actually, I forgot one little thing about them. You know that most flowers have a meaning behind them. So the meaning for these flowers is relieve my anxiety. So maybe if you know somebody and they're inclined to suffer with maybe anxiety or panic attacks, whatever, that maybe if you were to organise a bouquet of flowers for them of Hellebores, and you said to them they're actually known for relieving, you know, that way, your anxiety, it may make them feel a little bit happier. One other little tip, but maybe not, don't say this to your customer who suffers from anxiety. They are Greek mythology. They are believed to cure insanity. So I definitely think Deirdre, myself and you should probably have loads of these flowers around the place.
Maybe that's why they're in wedding bouquets, Janette.
Probably, yeah. Insane brides getting married, insane
or
grooms
anxious brides getting married.
Brides. It will relieve my anxiety. So it could either change their mind and they'll run back down the aisle the other way, or it'll make them fully confident to just fall into their partner's arms when they get to the top of the aisle. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Hope you learned a little bit there. Remember to share. And again, my name is Janette and I'm from Kay's Flower School.